And a very good evening, everybody, and welcome to our second night on the topic of aspects of spiritualism. We've got a gentleman back with us who was with us just a short while ago, but made such an impression. I desperately needed to ask him if he would gladly share his knowledge, understanding of spiritualism with us tonight. And so pleased that he said yes. So from Denmark, we have the lovely Jack Eckhart. How are you, sir?
It's all my pleasure.
Absolutely wonderful. Wonderful to see you, sir.
Yeah, and it's such a delight to be back here. And I enjoyed last time, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy tonight as well, and having a bit of fun as well, because I believe you should have a little bit of fun with this.
Oh, definitely. The one thing about from my aspect, one thing about spiritualism is that it is a light-hearted, not light-hearted as in non-substantial, but there is a lightness with it. We're not weighed down by you can't do this, you can't do that, you mustn't do this, you mustn't think that.
Yeah.
We learn, we progress, and spirit, I find, working with them, have got a brilliant sense of humor.
Oh, definitely. That's I can only agree with that. That's my experience during the years as well. I think that's one of the reasons why I love to work with spirit. It's such an uplifting way to communicate.
Definitely.
And that's company of that joy, that love, and that's laugh. It's fantastic.
Very, very true. So tell me, Jack, how did you first become involved with spiritualism, please?
I'll just put this there. Yeah, how did I get... For many years, I have been in a great denial of the spirit world and things like that, and I have been one of those people laughing a little bit about it and making jokes about it because it was a little bit too weird for my logic mind. But then my mother-in-law, by all means, and God bless her, passed away. And during that short period of time, about 2 weeks where she was sick, a lot of things happened and my awareness changed. And from then on, I just become more and more aware. I was told I should start doing some healing and things, and I thought, okay, what about this? And I started to do some healing, and it was a bit funny because I actually didn't believe in it, but some great results came out of it, and was like, okay, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. I'm just sitting here closing my eyes and putting my hands, and 30, 40 minutes later, I open my eyes and I have no clue what has been going on. And I did that for some years, and I was like, I wasn't trained. I was just told, just do it from the heart. And then some years later, I met Libby Clark, that you might probably know. And she picked me out in a bunch of group of people, say, oh, Jack, can you help here? Because I want to demonstrate for the others something about trance. And I realized what I've been doing for quite a few years was actually trance.
Uh-huh.
But it was just in a natural way to me. I never thought about techniques or mechanics or anything. And that's really surprised me what happened there. And of course, when you're getting aware of it, you start to think about it, and the natural part is being disturbed a little bit. But then I went on and I started to look into the evidential mediumship as well. And that actually took a 1-year education scheme with Billy Cook here in Denmark years ago. And then from then on, it just went fast. I started to go to Finley College 5-6 times a year. And after that, I went to Folkestone, and I've been around SAGB and all different kind of places. Did a lot of development, and for many years, I was just for my own sake, because I enjoyed it. I was curious, and I was like, wow, this is actually quite exciting, and all my doubts kind of disappeared, and I realized that, wow, this wasn't that strange to me anyway, because I realized I've been in it from my childhood. My mom have told me that's when I was a child, she was often looking around corners after me, because she was worried about me, but because I was only sitting, often playing without friends around me or anything. I was like, when she said that, what are you talking about? I always had friends around me. But growing up, I never had that in my mind. Like, it could be any things from spirit. But I realized these days that, well, all my friends from my my childhood, a lot of them was actually from the spirit world.
Yeah.
I have been in a denial, because I grew up. I became a builder. I have trained in the military. I have been an officer, and all these things so far away from the spiritual things. But these days, it's like it all comes together, and it all makes sense to me these days.
That is really interesting, because our lives run a parallel there. Very similar. As a child, I was a loner. I didn't want other kids around, because I was quite happy with the kids I was playing with.
Yeah.
And also, just, I didn't start firstly with the trance side, and I don't delve too deeply into that because I'm too nosy, I've been told by my spirit friends.
Yeah.
But I used to be able to talk to people, and people said, oh my God, you just hold people. When you start talking, it's just like this. We don't want to stop listening to you.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, I'm talking rubbish, really. No idea what I'm saying. But yeah, and similar again to you. Went away, lived a life, and then came back and taken it from there. How wonderful.
Yeah. And now it's about 25 years ago I started to have my awareness back to the spirit world. So a lot of things have been happening over those years.
Very true. People are coming more and more into spiritualism, online, obviously, with lockdowns across the world.
Yeah.
Spiritualism under the guise of evidential mediumship is certainly proliferating out there. But one of the views and objectives of these nights I'm running is to talk more in depth about all the aspects of spiritualism. So people at home, if you've got any questions whatsoever, please post them. I always say no question is daft if you don't know the answer. All right, so any question at all to come in. But spiritualism itself, I mean, although we are a recognised religion here in the UK, and I understand that you're getting that organised in Denmark, is that correct?
Yes, we have put in the application for the government, and we are on the last step. We just I basically just waiting for the final answer, and it has been from we sent in the application. It has been a bit more than 2 years long process to get through that. So we hopefully will have it as a birthday gift that we have spiritualism recognized in Denmark. So fingers crossed and prayers and all those things. But I believe we will have it, because it is recognized in UK, Norway, and other countries as well. So
yeah, brilliant work. But being recognized as a religion, obviously that does have significance to our movement. But unlike other religions, we aren't chained down by the old dogmas, the old creeds. It's a very forward thinking way of life, religion, whichever tag suits you, that's absolutely fine. But it's an ever evolving understanding of life, because the more you put in, the more you work with spirit, the more you get back, and what they give you back is more stuff that you've got to work on yet again.
Yeah.
And
I have to say, one of the things I fall in love with the spiritualism and the 7 principles was actually the 5th principle. That is, to me, the most important principle, basically, because now you're talking about all religions. Most religions has himmel or hell, himmel and hell in one way or another. They have the good, the bad, and all these things. And they have the judgments, and you can, if you have sinned, you can go and say, okay, I'll give 100 Ave Maria, and I will be forgive and all these things. Where I think, wow, I really don't believe in a God that judged me, and that's what I fall in love with the spiritualism. There's no God to judge me. I have the opportunity to look back at the life I lived and think, well, what you did there, Jack, that was really good, but that I might have to think about that.
Yeah, I get you totally. I've been led to a book of late, actually, and it's transcribed through automatic writing in 1876. And the chapters I'm on at the moment is about God and understanding. And wow, absolutely. As you say, being judged. I think the only person that's ever going to judge us is the man in the mirror, and no one else. And we know what's right, inherently right, what's inherently wrong. And we know, as you say, about the 5th principle with personal responsibility. As I was saying going on air tonight, when I first came into spiritualism, personal responsibility, and I'm not being rude or anything, it was just like, well, I'm shaved, I'm washed, I've got clean clothes on. Hey, winner. As you work more and more and understand more and more about spiritualism, and it is through reading, people, it really is. It is through reading. And I don't want to go down the line of the modern day accounts of famous mediums. Go back a little bit in history with some of the books, and you will find some amazing texts, absolutely mind-blowing stuff. So there's your homework, everybody. Go out and read a book at least 50 years old. But it is, isn't it? Spiritualism is an all-encompassing belief. We are fortunate that through the work of the dedicated mediums that we can provide evidence. And I always stress evidence because for me, for my understanding, that if you were to go to a church or to a centre or to a private sitting or to an online, whatever, and you were given a message by a medium who gave you enough clear information about somebody, I don't mean the fey generational stuff, I mean the real, that is my mum or my dad or whoever in spirit, to me, that's spirit saying, we exist, what are you going to do about it? What do you think of that, Jack?
I believe that when we are in that spirit communication, it's no matter what our belief is. I believe that within the evidence that is coming through, it can be delivered in so many different ways. But I believe that with it and behind it, the love and the compassion that is behind that communication, it brings a lot of healing for the recipient. And to me, is actually what's in my early days, I thought, but why bring all these evidence? And I realized that to me, having that evidence, not somebody saying, "Oh, have your mother here and she loves you," and and so on. So, but bringing that evidence behind the message is just, for me, it's just giving that notice that it is the one that they're talking about, that is actually coming with that message, and that message, if that's a reflection of who they were as a person, that to me that's healing, that's bringing that knowledge of spirit and the awareness of me through the evidence is just to me just amazing when it comes through clearly.
Yeah. Oh no, don't get me wrong. I agree wholly. Messages through mediumship are a great healing tool. Also, but it's unraveling, because we're seeing a lot of messages and things put out there, especially at this time, but without that underlying concept. You know, that primarily, I would class myself, my mediumship, I am working for spirit to bring that evidence through. I'm not working for the person sat in front of me. I'm working with whoever. Healing, most definitely, both sides. Healing for the sitter and healing for the spirit as well.
Yeah.
Because, you know, often we don't all have happy family lives, and if somebody wants to come back and just say that, I'm sorry, you know, if you and I fell out now, Big Barney, and split up and never saw each other again, and then I went to spirit because I'm older and more unfit than you.
Probably not.
But there would be that thing that I take with me to spirit, saying, yeah, and now in this new light of this new world in which I live, and this new understandings that are coming in, I want to say sorry to you. If you take it, great. If you don't take it, absolutely fine. But for my healing, and this is what happens a lot with mediumship, and it's we can miss the very subtle tones. Spirit are very subtle, very, very subtle. And as mediums, we're trained to follow the clues. But yet as I say, the overall package from the first inception of walking into a church then, or a center, or wherever you get that message, you know, that is spirit saying, we're here, we exist, what are you going to do about it? And as I always say to people, you know, this process that's happened tonight is with people who have left this earth now. In 100 years, none of us are going to be here. So we're going to be those people. So what does that mean? Yeah, what does that mean? Absolutely wonderful.
So.
Got a question here from the lovely Sue.
Yes.
So how well is spiritualism accepted over in Europe?
In Europe, that's a big question. I know for Denmark, spiritualism is quite well accepted, not as a belief system, but a religion, but as like the act of mediumship, is have become quite accepted. We have had, back in the days, we have the spiritism very strong in Denmark, but it has been like gone a little bit away, and the psychic have been very strong in Denmark. But the later 15-20 years, the mediumship has become more and more back to Denmark, and have become quite accepted. And I believe it is. I know, like in Norway, spiritualism with the background in 7 principles is recognized. In Sweden, spiritualism is growing a lot, and I believe that will go for recognition within the next couple of years as well. Germany can be a little bit strict, as I understand it. Not many years ago, they were not allowed to announce at them with spirit communication. They had to call it something else and things. But that is gone now, so they can call it what it is. So I know, like Switzerland, Austria, they're quite open to it. So there is some differences, but what we don't have in Europe, as you have in UK, is we don't have all the churches. And like in Denmark, we have only one church left. There was one in Copenhagen years ago that closed years ago. I can't remember. I think 10 years ago or something. That was closed because the medium that was running it passed away, and there was nobody that was able to make it running further on. And then we have one in Aarhus, the second biggest city in Denmark. There is a little church there. So that's, we don't have a church on every corner as you have in UK. And that means that like now when we're doing services, we have to go find venues, halls and things like that, centers and things that will open the doors so we can do the services. And people are not that used to services in Denmark. It's mostly Dems. Like, you know, okay, I'm here tonight, and I'll show you how fantastic medium I am, and I'll give you a bunch of messages. And without where we now are doing, we're doing the full services, the divine services with the philosophy and everything, and it had become quite popular actually. And I'm just pleased with it. And quite a lot of people have told me that, well, they could be without the messages. They're just coming for the service.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have to say, but we need to have the messages in there because that's a part of our belief system.
Very true. Very true. But also, you did touch on a very important word for me, especially when you talk about the philosophy of spiritualism. When I know myself, when I first started to sit in circle to develop mediumship, because I was sitting to develop healing, but when I was working with people were talking to me, and my circle leader said, "You're in the wrong circle, go in that one." I went, "Oh, okay." But yeah, I was told to study philosophy, so I spent probably about 8 months to a year looking for the book of philosophy before actually coming to that understanding there isn't a book. There are so many schools of thought in spirit that you develop the philosophy, you work with, you know, spirit. A word not often applied with spirit is intelligence. You know, spirit are intelligence, and they reflect the intelligence that we give to them by asking sensible questions, not, you know, come here and appear in front of me because I'm bored.
Yeah.
So, you know, really help me with this. I'm really struggling to understand where, you know, I'm going wrong or what's going on. And especially at this time in this world in which we live, those underpinning philosophies can mean so much to people. Really. With yourself and your development, who were your inspirers for your philosophies, Jack?
One that have been a great inspirer for me have actually been Meister Eckhart, that I've got my spiritual name from. Meister Eckhart was a German Dominican monk and philosopher that mystic that lived in the 12th and 13th century, and he was actually convicted for witchcraft at his time, and he wasn't understood. His prayers, his philosophy wasn't understood at his time, but it took about 200 or 300 years before people started to understand what he was talking about.
Very true.
And these days, actually, the Christian churches, I don't know if you know about it, but the Christian church is actually putting a lot of references to him these days, and he have been a great inspiration for me to look more into who is this guy that I've got my name Eckhart after. because I didn't know anything about him when I was giving my name. So it was like, wow, what is this?
Yeah.
You know, I got quite a big story about him and why I got the name after him and all these things. But so yeah, he has been written a lot of things and a lot of prayers and talks and things like that. I have a big book about him and things. So I got a lot of inspiration from him because there is a lot of things in the a lot of value in the things to me that in the things he have come out with. And I think one of his simplest quotes is maybe the one that says, if the only prayer you have ever given is thank you, that's enough. And I so agree with that, because I think we tend to make things so complicated. And I really like the simplicity that is coming out from his words.
Lovely. Yeah, I've often said prayer is a personal thing, and sometimes people can get a little bit shy or a little bit nervy about what to say.
Yeah.
And I said, prayer is simple. It just comes from the heart. And I said, and the simplest prayer is help them.
Yeah.
That is all that's needed, because the words that we give it actually only gloss over what our intent is behind. And that's something I always try to teach people. You know, it's not what you say, it's what's being said from the heart and that intent, because that is what is heard.
Yeah.
We're engaging people tonight. This is wonderful. Thank you, people.
Lovely. I saw just before Anne and Morgan. Hi, Anne. Just before Anne came up here, I saw there was a Christian from Sweden that said there's one spiritual church in Sweden.
It indeed.
Yes, Christina. Hi, Christina. I know about the church called Sweden's First Spiritual Church that is run by Andreas, I think his name is. If there is another church, I would really like to hear about it. Just a comment on that. I know, as far as I know, spiritualism isn't recognized as a religion in Denmark, but or in Sweden. But I know there is church, like we have one church in Denmark, but spiritualism is not recognized as a religion. Doesn't mean that there can't be churches, just not recognized by the government. But I might be wrong about Sweden. But just Christina, please let me know if I'm wrong here, because I would really like to know. And yeah,
brilliant. And that actually answers a second one here. It's one thing being recognized, but it's actually being recognized by the government and actually made an official religion.
Yeah, and I can see. Yeah, and Marianne says, hey, but spiritualism are recognized in Denmark for wedding and other things. And I had to correct that, Marianne, because spiritualism with the background in 7 principles is not recognized in Denmark. We have an organization with spiritism, not spiritualism, but spiritism, that has been recognized about a year ago in Denmark, but with a totally different belief system. And the belief system that have been recognized, they have, I think it's something about five principles, but their belief system is about, I think they're talking about, I think it's either 7 or 12 planets. I can't really remember. That is like put on a line, and that's those what they're talking about. For what I can see on the website, is spiritual is on those planets. And then is the one planet that is and then in a line from the sun, and behind the Earth is a planet that's a dark planet. So it's, to me, it becomes a little bit heaven and hell again. So spiritualism, and with the background in 7 principles, is not recognized in Denmark. It's spiritism with a different belief system. Just to clarify.
No, thank you for saying that, because we can get a little bit caught up on the words, because we do some work with the spiritists.
Yes.
who again have a different belief system to us. Although fundamentally we all tend to be saying the same thing, but just our approaches may differ.
Yeah.
So we go back to Anne Morgan Campbell.
Yes.
There we go.
To feel like that spiritually things are changing a big way, that spirit are going to come forward in a different and more powerful way to let everybody know that they are there and will, as they do, help in any way they can to sort our earth out. I believe that our loved ones comes to help each one of us the way they can, and I believe through that it can make a change in each and every one of us to maybe look at the world in a different way. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite convinced how spirit world is coming to do an impact on the earth as such, because I believe that us as human beings that is doing those acts, but I believe that spirit world can inspire us to act differently, and I believe that for my own sake, I try to live inspired from seven principles. I try to live by the brotherhood of man. I try to live by the personal responsibility and all these things. Does that make me perfect? No, not at all. I make a lot of fails and things, but I try to have my mind on trying to do the best I can to maybe make a difference. One of the things I'm doing at the moment is trying really to bring spiritualism and seven principles out to more knowledge in Denmark. So my belief is, yes, the spirit world is trying to do an impact on what is going on the earth, but I think that, in my belief, they or my experience, they're doing through each and one one of us to inspire us, to guide us, to try to help us to be the best of ourselves, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. I'm a firm advocate of what you were saying, without any disrespect to anybody whatsoever. You know, throughout history, we've been. My experience with a lot of trance demonstrations is one question is often asked: is there life on other planets, and will they visit us? And I'm thinking, do you know what? We need to sort out our life on this planet, because we are responsible. And again, going back to the seven principles, the fifth one, personal responsibility. We are responsible for this planet. We are responsible beings. The way we act, the way we behave, the way we interact. And often I've said this in an address, you know, when people say, well, it's only me, what can I do? Well, I always respond, every great religion, every great theology, every great civilization started with one person. So never underestimate yourself. So yeah, I mirror that. I don't think anybody's going to come out and sort this mess out for us, because that wouldn't be right.
No, I don't believe. I don't believe that spirit world is interfering with our world in that way, or trying to change it. But they are supporting us, basically.
Oh, very much. Yeah, very much. The avenues of communication are opening up wider and wider to spirit, but it's a two-way thing. It's a transaction. We are not passive in our workings with spirit. Neither is spirit. It is an intelligence is working together to reach some sort of accord to go forward. So yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, I can see Diane's writing here that there was about 33 spiritual churches in Denmark, and in many organizations that. I actually have I know quite a lot of Einar Nielsen. I've read books about him as well. I'm just I actually reading one right now. But these days, there's only one church left. That's the case. And many years ago, the churches, the Spiritism and Spiritualism in Denmark basically killed itself because they started fighting each other, and a lot of the medium was taken by fraud and things, unfortunately. And it's like it desolated everything, and it's left us with basically nothing. We have that one church left in Aarhus, and the one that was in Copenhagen closed about 10 years ago. So, but I know that there used to be a lot of. We have a great tradition with spiritualism and spiritism in Denmark back in the days, but that has just disappeared, unfortunately. Hopefully, we can build it up and get it back.
That is very sad, isn't it? Within the spirit, and we have that in the UK just as much. And you just need to step back and think: what are you practicing? What is your belief system? Why are you behaving like that?
Yeah.
It is very, very. It's frustrating.
And I actually think it's sad that. I'm not quite sure what is happening within the, let's just call it the spiritual movement, because I can see a lot of people are really going into it and trying to do an effort with working with spirit, communicating with spirit, and these things. And then there is a lot of people coming into the spiritual movement as well, because we have to acknowledge and realize that a lot of people are seekers, seeking the truth, seeking something they can believe in. Quite vulnerable people as well is coming into the spiritual movement, especially in Denmark. Anyway, I'm not quite sure how it is in the UK. It might be different. But that means as well that there will come a lot of people ready to use them as well within the spiritual movement.
Yeah, sadly, yes. And there is. Oh, sorry, Karen.
Yeah, and that's and I think that's often starts. That's a kind of a war within the spiritualism, spiritual movement in that way, because people are nagging at each other, and I'm better than you, I'm more spiritual than you, and all these things, and it's kind of sad to look at, because I can see, just look around in different spiritual Facebook groups, especially in Denmark. I actually find it kind of sad that spiritual people are judging each other that much and being after each other that way. And I know that what killed the spiritism and spiritualism in Denmark back in the days. So hopefully we can get over that and get together and look in this look in the way of actually just being with spirit.
Indeed. I always say, if I say I'm right, automatically I am saying somebody else is wrong, because if I say what I say is right, so I very much adopted the phrase and the position of I am right for me at this time, because it's my journey. And spiritualism is see, some people sometimes get a little bit messed up between spirituality and spiritualism. Not all spiritual people are spiritualists.
No.
And not all spiritualists are spiritual people. But through spiritualism, I mean, a lot of people are finding their steps now on the spirituality path. And that again is wonderful, because it's, again, going back to the philosophy side, there is no one philosophy. There are many, many philosophies, and what appeals to me may not appeal to the person next to me. But if they, yeah, sorry,
just go on.
Yeah, but if they find their path through nature, through any of the other spirituality fields, brilliant, because we are saying the same thing. We are saying, look after each other, look after ourselves, look after our home, and be responsible, and stand up for yourself. Be responsible for yourself. Each action has a result.
Yeah.
So, oh, there we go. A bit of feedback from Christina there.
Oh yeah. And Gutenberg. Yeah. No, as I thought it, I don't think it is. I know this. I recognize a religion in Sweden, but I don't know, Christina. Could you please, if you would like to, I would really like to be in touch or in contact with you or the church, if that's possible, because I think we should look at it together in the Nordic countries on the way as well.
That is lovely and refreshing to hear about working together, because, again, with the individuality of spiritualism in the area in which I live down here, at one time I think we had 14 different little independent churches, and I'm talking somebody's front room, but they were all recognized as their own individual churches. But there tended not to be a lot of cohesion between the different groups, and that's fine as long as we're not competing. We don't have to be in each other's pockets, and that's one of the benefits to me of spiritualism, is you forge your own path, you learn yourself, you steer your own ship.
Yeah.
So Diane's back.
Yeah, I wonder why you speaks of the seven principle. It is not it's a new organization in England and not in Denmark. I believe she's talking about the Pool Christian Spiritualist Church. No, that's true, Diane. It's not it's a new organization, but I don't believe that. I believe that SNU is not don't owe the seven principles. The seven principles was given by through the mediumship of Emma Harding Britten to spiritualists. Then in the early 1901 or something like that, spiritualists in UK gathered and made this organization that was named the Spiritual National Union. But the belief system, the belief in the seven principles, is not only for SNU. That's giving from spirit to mankind.
Yeah, and the Christian spiritualists, of which obviously Paul is, we adhere to the seven principles, and we have the additional principle of the leadership of Jesus Christ. Yeah. But as Jack quite rightly said, the no organization owns those principles. It was a message given to mankind. And actually there was another principle which has sort of like disappeared, because I can't remember the exact wording, but it was something like, this is up to the interpretation of the individuals. And it's a shame that that line was left out, because that brings in a whole new ethos into it, because it is a pathway, and it is, each principle has got its own depths, and the more you learn and the more you open up and the more aware you become, the greater those depths become.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. We've got lovely Tim on.
Yo, hello, Tim. Yeah, Tim says the seven principles, and if anybody knows, it's Tim, I'm sure. The seven principles are the legal definition of spiritualism, because it represents the philosophy of spiritualism within the SNU. not necessarily within other spiritualist organizations or religions, and I totally agree with that. But that also means that SNU, it's the seven principles is not only for the SNU, but the SNU have been recognized as a religion on the background on the seven principles.
Yep.
And that's what we are looking at in Denmark. I know in Norway it is recognized. Spiritualism is recognized in background of the recognized as a religion in the background of the seven principles. And Norway, I know, and Andre from Norway is looking at being affiliated or something to the SNU, but they're not an SNU organization. It's an independent organization in Norway, as it is in Denmark and other countries.
Yeah, indeed. There is, I believe, a door opening here for a greater collaboration between the spiritualist churches and centres, not just in the UK, but across the world too. Sadly, my personal thinking is, if, for example, we had 500 churches and centres in the UK at this time, in a year's time, we may be lucky just to have 100 left, because a lot of places, including Paul, are suffering greatly. The fundraisers that we came to rely upon, rightly or wrongly, we are unable to do. At this time, this month, we can't even open our doors. So it's going to be a really, really tough time for spiritualist churches and centres, in both independent and affiliated. It's going to be such a hard time. Do you know what? If we can't talk to each other and if we can't help each other out, then what are we doing in this religion?
Yeah,
really.
I agree. And I know for my own sake, I'm closing down the center I have here in Denmark because the finances is not there at the moment because of the corona and everything. But that doesn't mean that the spiritualism in Denmark is dying with that. That's only a building. That's only a venue.
Yeah.
It's so as I said, then we just have to hire other venues, halls, and things around the country, and maybe by time we can have our own building, we can have our own churches. Yeah. But I believe that's the spiritualism and the church, for that sake, is not made by the bricks; it's made by the people within it. Yeah. And I think we have to remember that. It's lovely to have the churches. It's lovely to have this environment where we can be with our belief, where we can do our work as mediums or healers or whatever we do within the spiritualism as well. What is going on in the churches? But I think we have to remember that it's not about the buildings. It's not about the bricks. It's about the people and the mindset of the people.
Very, very true. I agree wholeheartedly. Many of my services here, when I've been chairing, I've said at the end of the service, we are lucky. We have got a beautiful church, but the real church is you people that attend. And often I will say that. And this is it. We're moving into this new era where going to a church at the moment in the UK, you can't. Simple as that. We've been shut down. We don't know how long that's going to go on, but it's people coming together. People tonight, wonderful Jack, all the way from Denmark, giving his time freely to talk with people, to answer questions. And this is the growth. This is the understanding. Yes, that physicality of being together is wonderful, but you can't have it. But do you know what? That's not going to stop spirit.
Yeah.
And we limit spirit's activities with our doubts.
Yeah. And I agree with you. And if we look at the lockdown, because what have happened? Everybody has gone online now. We interact across the whole world. I've been with a few English churches online now. I think actually it's wonderful, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Sometimes it forces us to grow, to develop, to change our mindsets. And I think, as we talked about just before we started this broadcast, that spirit is always online.
Yeah.
Spirit is not waiting for us to come down to the church.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Right here, right now. So I really think we have to remember how natural it is to be with spirit.
Indeed. Yeah.
Wherever we are.
Yeah. There are many lessons. The thing is, it's easy, as we were talking about before we came on air, it's easy to be negative, because I always think negative energy is just a lazy energy. Anybody can do it. You don't do any effort. But if we start to garner the positive energies here, I love it when we have people like yourself on talking, and you get that passion. All right, I'm a medium, but I don't need to be a medium to get that passion that's coming out. And that reflects upon ourselves as well. It stirs something in our soul.
Yeah.
And like you say, we're going, I've said we got a global congregation now, and that's not a boastful thing. It's just a factual thing.
Yeah.
We've got lovely Joan on tonight from America, a very ardent supporter of our events and other churches. It's just amazing. And like you say, it's not the bricks and mortar, it's the people. And it's that learning and coming together. We've got Tim back.
Oh, that's the same as before.
Oh, sorry. There we go. Let's try again. There we go. He's filled up the message board.
Yes.
I'm joking, Tim. I'm joking.
Yeah. Then we know him again. I believe the challenge is that some spiritualist organizations accept this philosophy of reincarnation, and some spiritualist organizations do not. That's have been for all those years I have been within the spiritualism. There's been an ongoing discussion about reincarnation. To me, if I'm going back to the seven principles, there is nothing in in the seven principles that exclude the thought of reincarnation. But to me personally, because I'm I have quite an evidential mindset. I want some kind of evidence, and for reincarnation, I personally don't have that evidence that says, well, I believe in reincarnation, but I have to accept that there is a lot of indications that the reincarnation might be the case. But I'm still waiting for the final evidence. But if we are looking at the seven principles, the seven principles is talking about the conscious existence of the human soul, as well as the continuous development of the human souls. And for those that believe in reincarnation, they believe that we are a part of our development is through our incarnated lives. If it's 1, 10, or 500. So one way I know, and that's actually what I like about the seven principles. And again, I know, and again, it's how we put it in our minds. And I believe that going back to the fifth principle, the personal responsibility, I believe that to me the seven principles open the opportunity to each and every one of us to have our own opinion on it.
Very true. Very true. Reincarnation, my immediate reaction is, listen, I've got enough trouble in this life. I'm not going to go back to any others.
Yeah. And I'm like, some people are doing these, what are they called, where they're going back in earlier life to solve problems in this life. And to me, my logic might say, okay, that might be possible. I don't know. I can't say that. I have never tried it. But to me, it's like, okay, you're going back. If I should believe in that we are here get back again and again to develop our soul through our earthly experiences, then if we are going back in earlier lives to solve some of the problems we have in this life, then we're just jumping over. So okay, we'll just take another ride then, because we did learn the lesson. Does that make sense? It's just when I try to put my mind out. So I believe that we have to be careful. One thing if we believe it, but I think we have to be careful how we use it. If we're using it, and I believe that if we're going to somebody that is talking us down to something like look like a trance state through hypnosis and things, that's the images we're getting up and the things we're getting up, because I've met people, I have evidence that said because I went back to former life. But what we have to be aware of, that the way we are being guided can create those images, those experiences. Don't mean that they're true things from past lives, but it's images that can come into my mind through a conscious or unconscious manipulation from the therapists. And what I have been thinking about is a lot of the people I've talked with that have going through these past life experiences is that there have always been something particular. There have been a witch, or there have been something special. I don't think I've met anybody that have just been a farmer or a baker or something sitting on the sidewalk begging for money. I have never met anybody that have had that experience. So I think that's, we have to be careful about what our own mind can create of things.
Very true. And I'm not being dismissive of reincarnation at all. It's just a field that I don't go into because it always does get a bit of a quagmire with people. And it's just sort of like, sorry, I'm here living this life and I'm here developing and opening up new doors and opportunities. So I'm here in the now. My other line about reincarnation is, if knowing my luck, I'll come back as me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
some believe that we can come back as a dog or a cat or an ant or anything. That and I totally respect whatever belief system people have. I have my belief system, and that's the truth for me.
Exactly.
And I don't judge anybody else. I just have some thoughts about things, how it works with my logic.
Yeah, this is it. When we're dealing with the esoteric field, we do by default try to humanize everything. We need to put it into human concepts that we can understand. Well, we can't. It's as simple as that. When we talk about trust, it's because we need to trust what we're getting, because we can't actually manipulate it and get it into a humanized form, because it is not human. We're human here. Once we're in spirit, back in spirit, we are on a different wavelength, we're on a different vibration, different everything about us. So although we have our memory and everything that we've done here, we're existing now in a different time, a different energy, everything. So we're stuck here trying to humanize everything, and a lot of things just can't be humanized. How do you humanize the life force in a gemstone?
Yeah.
You just can't do it. It's
Oh.
life is life.
Yeah, and it's just, I think sometimes just to get our brain to understand something that's I know a lot of people now, a lot of people is banging a little bit when I'm talking about God. Just, whoa, God, that's a Christian thing, that's something, and that's not for me. But like, well, but to me, God is not a man sitting up there with a big white bear. That's Sansa, you know.
Very true.
To me, God is it's that, to me, God is the creating force, that as we actually call the first principle in them, God as a creating force, and that's an energy. That's an energy that is within me, that is within you, that is connecting all of us one way or another, and I believe that to have, but before we can talk about this energy, we have to name it. We have to humanize it.
Yep.
To me, God is a good word to use.
Yeah. Of late, I have become more comfortable with my understanding of God. I know it sounds a bit weird for somebody who runs a church, but it was, I couldn't grasp his concept of the orthodoxy. Somebody sitting there judging, as you mentioned earlier on. Somebody sitting there with favorites, and because we've humanized through the years, this concept has been humanized to a degree that it no longer bears any witness to what I grasp at this time, my understanding of God.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Again, if you take the the fifth principle in there, the personal responsibility, who is responsible to decide who is God for me? That can only be me.
Yeah, very true. Oh, very big question here from Sarah. From 3 years old, Sarah's had all sorts of interesting spiritual experiences, and it was and is now always a surprise to me. I was raised High Church of England, but felt I had to conceal my experiences because my church judged this. When I mentioned to someone that I'd seen my past granddad in my house, they got all serious and said they would come to my house and pray for me. I was taken back because I was happy to have had him visit and realised I did not fit, unfortunately. And so that's why, and we've run out of words there. Yeah, it's very true, Sarah. Years ago, mediums were put in asylums.
Yeah.
And that's documented, that's evidential.
Yeah.
And often put into asylums at the behest of local priests, dignitary, whatever. Because also it's also been throughout history different sort of like power struggles. If you go to the witch trials in America, they were generated because the women who would do all the hatching, all the birthing, all the laying out of the dead, the herbalists and all that, suddenly became a perceived threat to the elders. Hence, we spawned the witch trials. And whatever you're following, whatever your belief system is, there's always going to be those who will take offense. But it's only by entering into debate and not discourse that we ever get over these things.
And still those days, I sometimes meet people that says, "Well, I'm afraid of it. I don't dare to come to a service because you're talking to dead people. It's the devil's act and all these kind of things." And I still meet these people these days that is afraid of spirit, and I was like, woohoo, why is that? But what makes me happy is that I'm actually talking to some Christian priest, and probably going to do some work together with them, do some talks and things where we will discuss the belief system, the Lutheran Christian as we has in Denmark and the spiritualism, and bring our different views on it, both the differences, but also where we agree with each other. And I know that more and more Christian priests in Denmark is talking about the communication with the afterlife. It is basically described in the Bible, and in the early Bible text, mediumship was described, but in the 14th century, it was taken out because it was taken out. It was then was changed only to be for the priests and the vicars, because that gave the church the power to control people.
Yeah. I was very pleased. I went to a wedding a few years ago in a Baptist church, and a very old traditional Baptist church. But when you walked in, immediately in the centre at the nave, right by the front door, was their healing book. And I thought, how wonderful is that? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, on a totally different subject of spiritualism, I was involved in a talk, and that was to a group of 18 religious leaders in the Dorset area, and it was actually on the topic of sexual health, and that was another life of mine. 15 absolutely fine, 3.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, when people were coming back with feedback, me being me, went to the 3 saying, well, you've contributed nothing to today. What are your feelings about it? We're only here because we're told to be here. And I thought, do you know what? That is the trouble with some of the orthodoxy. Not all of it. Some of it. Yeah. Sad. Lovely comment there from Joan out in America. Enjoying tonight.
Oh, yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
Good to hear, Joan. Yeah, just read on, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll reiterate that reading. There are there's so many books out there in PDF format as well that you don't even have to buy. You can just download or browse on your computer. But it is about reading and just opening up doorways. And don't be afraid. If you read something and you don't agree with it, absolutely fine. Put it to one side.
Yeah.
Because I learnt with my philosophy when I first started reading, I was going rubbish. Don't be silly.
Yeah. I realize that. I thought, I'm going to read a lot of books, and after reading 3 pages was next. And what we have to remember when we read, what we read is the author's opinion.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with that. It's just we just have to be aware that no book have the final truth.
Yeah, very true.
Be inspired by reading different authors and being inspired to find our own way, find our own spirituality.
Indeed. And what I found, some of the books that I discarded as being not relevant to me, as I developed later on with other aspects, my mind went back to those quotes and thinking, well, do you know what? If I now believe this, I can't, in all fairness, dismiss what I read then, but I did, because it's of the moment. We are growing, we are constantly evolving. Everybody who is watching tonight is a different person from when you started watching this, and that's just life. We are different to the person yesterday, and we are yet to be the person tomorrow.
Yeah.
But that's the wonderful thing with spirit, because that evolutionary progress is still there.
Yeah.
Still ongoing. Yeah. Still very much ongoing. Jack, what a wonderful evening.
Yeah, I've enjoyed.
Yeah, no, it is good to talk. And as I say, these evenings are quite important to me, because I just feel that urge. I was inspired to bring in programs and bring in wonderful people like yourself and the lovely Tim, who will be with us, I think, at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Just to share some knowledge, some understanding. You know, mediumship is wonderful, but it's not the be all and end all. It's part of our wonderful philosophy, understanding, and way of life, because you change, you grow and evolve.
Yeah, and I had to admit what I fell in love with spiritualism back in the days was actually the philosophy.
Yeah,
the mediumship was great, but the philosophy touched my heart.
Very, very much so. One of my circles, I always encourage my development circles, go to church service. I don't care what church, you don't have to come here, but go to church services as part of your development. And 3 of them had been here at Paul Church the week before. One of them got a message, and I was demonstrating the power of the philosophy. And I said, "You were here last Sunday, you got a message. Who was it from?" And they went, "I can't remember." "What was the address about?" "Oh, it was about so and so and so and so."
Yeah, exactly.
Never underestimate philosophy.
And that's what I have experiences from the service we are doing in Denmark. So many people have come to me and said, "We don't care about the messages, but we love the philosophy, we love the prayers, we love the songs and all these things."
Yeah.
And it's great to hear that people are actually coming for those things. It's not all about the message.
Yeah, it is very heartwarming. I think one of the loveliest comments I ever had was, "I came here with a question in my head and you answered it in your address."
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
And hear that a lot, doesn't it? It's and I believe when we just go with that inspiration and what is actually inspiring us is spirit, is it the congregation, or maybe it's a combination, and a part of it our own mind. But it really doesn't matter as long as it's get into people and it can maybe inspire people and uplift people, because I believe that it's all about upliftment for people.
Definitely. And mediumship is not confined to people stood on platforms in churches. Everybody, I say, everybody is a medium, but you could be a medium of inspiration, you can be a medium of art, you can be a medium of music, you can be a medium of being an exceptional homemaker, a peacemaker, because it's inspired by spirit, because you've opened that door.
I totally agree with you. It's
brilliant.
Yes.
Jack, sir, it is 9:15 in your country, so I think we will say adieu and thank you so much for your time tonight. Been fascinating as always. Thank you to everybody who's taken part tonight, and thank you to the people who'll be watching these later on catch up. Absolutely wonderful. Quick rundown, our future activities. Tomorrow night we have another joint adventure with the Spiritist Society from Bournemouth. Then on Saturday night we've got a local medium and authoress, Mickey Havelock, who will be talking, and she'll be talking about her book of a near-death experience that she herself had, Dying to See You. And then on Sunday we have our first Zoom service at 3 p.m. GMT. And we have Deb Clark as a medium, and she's chickened out of doing the philosophy, so I've been doing the philosophy. So there we go. So details of that are all on the Facebook page, also on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining in tonight, everybody. Jack, again, so indebted for you giving this time. Thank you. Wonderful comments coming in there. Absolutely great.
And thank you to you, Lawrence, as well. It has just been such a pleasure, as much as the last time as well. So, and thank you to everybody out there that have joined us. It's enjoy the rest of your evening and just take care of yourself.
And the wonderful thing is, we're building up this. I had to change the background. The other one went a bit strange, but fortunately, we are building up a huge library now online of all these different talks from different people for people in the future to go through. And I think that's just awesome. Absolutely brilliant. So take care, everybody. Good night. God bless.